Hello, everyone. I hope that you're doing well. I'm really enjoying the work that you are submitting in class, and I want to thank all of you for the hard work that you've shared so far. It's really fantastic. This week, I want to share a little video notes with you to share just some human touch to the digital class. And I've noticed that a lot of you are working asynchronous, which means at your own time. Totally okay. That's how I prefer to move through an online class. Just kind of go at my own pace and work when it fits into my schedule. That's fantastic. But I wanted to share this with you so that those of you working completely asynchronously have kind of a human response from your teacher. So I want to just share some content on our new module, what we're going through, and just updates for the week. So this week we're starting week 5. Hard to believe, time is moving so fast. And module 4 takes place over 2 weeks. And it really will take us at least 2 weeks to master working with value. And what do I mean by master? Technical mastery means that you're comfortable, you're confident in executing shading and value, and that you can use shading and value to create the illusion of three-dimensional depth. Drawing is really all about illusion. We take a flat piece of paper and we create this illusion of something real. And that's one of our big objectives for this class, and shading is such a critical element to drawing realism. So I also want to encourage all of you to stop working with pencil and work with just charcoal as much as you can. Lead pencils are kind of a comfort zone. We start out drawing with them, we get really comfortable and really good, so it's hard to make that transition. But this class is about learning something new, and you've got to work with charcoal. So that's the first requirement, and I can tell a mile away if it's not charcoal. I've been teaching this class for 20 years, and I always get people that turn something in shaded pencil. I also want to tell you that it's harder. It takes a lot longer to build up really dark value with a lead pencil. Lead, the darkest it gets is actually gray. So it doesn't even really get rich black as charcoal does. So it's a learning curve, but once you get used to charcoal, it's faster, and you can create depth, value, and contrast really quickly. So make sure you're using that charcoal, and also that you are walking through the exercises as much as you need to build up skill and build up confidence. And really do think about it like an exercise. It's funny because I'm not really a big sports person. I'm not good at it. I'm good at art. I'm totally not. I love sports, but I'm just not that great at it. But this is very much like sports. So if we were learning to play basketball, right? We would go and we would shoot layups. And you would just keep shooting the ball. And every time you practice, you shoot the ball, Even when you get good at it, you still keep shooting the ball. It's muscle memory. It's hand-eye coordination. And those are all skills that you build with practice. You can study great basketball players. We could watch LeBron James, and, we could study his moves. But you can't get good at basketball just by doing that. If we could watch hundreds of hours of basketball and go on the court and not make a shot. You just have to practice. So when it comes to shading, we're going to work on shading a sphere. And I really want you to keep practicing that as many times as you need. How many times? Until the illusion works. Until you can look at that sphere and you say, okay, that looks 3D. And if you're new to charcoal and new to shading, that might be 3, 4, even 5 times to really get the illusion really good. Shading with charcoal involves pressure control. So the harder you press, the darker. The lighter you press, the lighter. You have to learn how to use smudgers and smudge the charcoal, and also how to work with an eraser, which we're not doing, and that's called subtractive drawing, where you erase and subtract to make the area lighter. There's a demonstration that's in the reading and viewing materials that I created, and I'm shading a sphere, and I'm actually kind of rushing through it. The demo is like 30 minutes. Honestly, to really create a really good sphere, I would probably spend about an hour, maybe even more, to really build up that value and that illusion. And I'm trained. I have a master's degree in art, but it still takes me time to build that illusion. So really, really good shading and good value does take time to build. So with that being said, that's kind of where my grading policy came from, because many years ago as I was teaching drawing, I noticed that, shading's tough, and some of my students would, maybe they had a lot of experience, even worked with charcoal before, and they would move through it pretty quickly. And then some students that were new to charcoal, it took them a little bit longer. It takes everybody a different amount of time. There's really no right answer for how much time does it take. It's different for everybody. So that's when I started allowing people to resubmit their work. And what I want you to do is turn your work in on time. But if you're not satisfied, if you're still like, oh, I could make this a little better, go ahead and do that. Invest that time, make it better. You can turn it in again, and I will boost your score. Okay. Also, because that practice, the more you practice, the better you get. Make sure you're investing at least 5 hours a week in class, at least. You should have about 2 hours to go through the reading and viewing materials, take some notes, try some things, and think about, okay, what do I want to create? And then you have about 3 hours to work on your practice. And I would recommend to split that up into 2 sessions. So whatever works in your schedule, maybe Monday night and Wednesday night, or maybe the weekend, divide that up into 2 sessions so that, you're sitting down practicing, rest for a bit, come back and practice again. If you do that, you will succeed. It may not be right away, but eventually you'll get there. It's a journey. And I guess as one of my friends used to say, it's a marathon, not a race. It's not a short, quick race. You'll get there over time. So as long as you are persistent and you don't give up and you keep trying, you can do this. I shared a lot of videos because, I have my way of drawing. And I think, yeah, those are my hands down there. I almost forget which video is mine. I have a way that works for me. You might have a different way. You might try my way of shading. You're like, this does not work. So there are several videos here to show some different approaches. Okay. And as you are practicing, if that happens, you say, this isn't working, try another method. Try another way. Fabulous. I see a lot of you have already checked out those videos and posted some things that you have learned. And if we go back to the module, Time to start practice shading. Time to get into the shading. And I would suggest that the three important things to think about when you're working with charcoal. One, less is more. Charcoal smudges, it spreads, it pushes around, so you don't need a lot. So one common mistake is people add a lot of charcoal and it just goes black. So you really want to think about your middle value and your light value. So less is more. The second is controlling those middle and light values, things like smudging and also erasing. And then the last piece that I want you to think about is time and building value. It doesn't just happen in one sitting. It's something that builds over time. So in here is a handout of a shaded sphere that you can use. You can pull it up on the screen. You can pull it up on your phone and draw. There is some content here, I think, for some of my advanced students. And I often get students in level 1 who are also advanced. And down at the bottom is a module with some link for some like advanced exercises. And then we have our first sketchbook. And the sketchbook is critical. You know, I've got mine right here. You know, this is it. You know, and no matter what art you're going into, photography, design, fashion, this is like your brain. You know, this is where you practice. This is where you test. And your practice, my son's taking martial arts, and he was doing all these things. And I think his teacher was saying that whatever you do in your practice is what you're going to do the day of the match. You know, they were getting ready for some sparring things. And, you know, whatever you practice, that's how you're going to perform. You know, if you're a dancer or, you know, even in sports, right? And if you're playing sports, you know, you'll do that. Please ignore this red line. That's a digital thing. That's not in the drawing. But the rest is, you know, the drawing. And this is charcoal. This is charcoal. This is one of my former students, and he kind of had fun adding some graffiti in there to kind of make it fun. Keith spent probably 10 hours on this sphere, like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. This was an actual styrofoam sphere that I set up in the classroom, and observing actual reality is good too. So if you are more advanced, maybe use an egg or something. You might even, you know, take a ball or something, a golf ball or something, and draw things that you're seeing, because there's different observations that happen when we're looking at the three-dimensional world. This sphere is also really good because it has a flat value scale. And if you're struggling, I recommend that you practice a flat value scale and just see if you can blend from black to white. And just practice that a couple of times, and then try to shade on a sphere and try to shade and create that illusion that things are round and three-dimensional. So this week, practice, 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 get to know the charcoal, have fun with the charcoal, and then you will plan and set up a still life. I don't want you working from photographs. I don't want you copying other people's things off of the internet. Set up an actual still life. It can be, you know, a cup. You would not want to use this cup because of all the decorations. If I was going to use this, I'd take a white piece of paper and cover it so that I have just a plain object. Eggs work really good. Boxes, you could take a box and paint it white, but you want something really simple. So there's a student example down below. You can cover things in paper also so that they're very simplified. So this week, I just want you to turn in your halfway point, and you'll share that and continue to work on the same drawing.